What's up guys, Chip Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. Today I've got my 8 best supersets that you're likely not doing. And I'm going to show you exactly why I hand selected each of these 8. But it always helps to start with a good definition of what a superset really is, because there is some confusion there. There's 2 criteria to be called a superset. Number 1, you have to have 2 exercises. Number 2, you need to not rest in between those 2 exercises. Now, if you took a single exercise, say like a dumbbell incline bench press, and you did 2 sets in a row, but all you did was drop the weight in between sets, that would be a drop set. A true superset requires that you go to a different exercise. Now, when it comes to what happens beyond that, some people think that it always has to be opposing muscle groups, and that's just not correct. Supersets can be done with lots of different exercise combinations, the same muscle group, complementary muscle groups, or yes, the popular opposing muscle group. But let's start there. When we talk about opposing muscle groups, there's nothing more classic than biceps and triceps. And of course, I actually have one hand-picked favorite here, and it is this combination, which is the dumbbell incline tricep extension right into the dumbbell spider curl. Now, the reason why I like this one above all others is because we're getting the all-important stretch on the triceps in the hand-selected exercise. Okay, so we can get that done and immediately without even having to change weight, because usually these 2 exercises tend to be weighted very, very closely. You go right into the inverted incline position on the bench and you start repping out in this spider curl. Now, the spider curl provides a nice benefit for us too, because it's challenging us most in the contracted position of the biceps, which is not something we really experience all that often with traditional curls. So if you're not used to doing this exercise, you're going to get a good stimulus from it because of that one reason. And if you certainly haven't tried this combination this way, you definitely will. Next, we can shift a little bit more towards complementary muscle groups. So not the exact same, but muscles that like to work together. And here, we're going to hit the back. And this is one of my all-time favorite supersets. It involves 2 exercises that a lot of times we forget to do. We've probably seen them, but we don't realize how important they are. It's the straight arm push down right into a face pull. With the straight arm push down, we are working our back in one of the most crucial movement patterns that we can actually use when training our back, because it translates over into other exercises, especially the big exercises like the deadlift. You need to have straight arm scapular strength, not just to do this, but even some more advanced bodyweight exercises like levers. So if we do this here and then immediately just change the position of our hands and go right into a face pull, we can shift the work still to the back, but more to the upper back. And as I mentioned in previous videos here, we can hit the rear delt as well. There's simply no better combo for the most unappreciated exercises in one of the more underappreciated areas of our body. Now we move on to more of the same muscle superset with a little bit of complementary action going on, and that is one of my favorite here for chest. Now we all know the classic bench press into push-ups, but there's something that actually allows us to hit the muscles in a little different way with a single dumbbell. What you do here is the UCV raise that I've shown plenty of times on our channel here, which actually works a little bit of the tie-in between the front delt and the upper chest. We're actually angling our arm up, but then across our body a bit. You can see the upper chest activated and working here. But then we can take that now and make sure that we're still getting that all-important adduction component of the chest, which is lacking when we go from bench press to push-ups. And that is why I love this above all others. We do what has been dubbed here as the Cavalier crossover. I showed this a long time back, years ago. You take that single dumbbell now, and what's ironic about this superset is I usually can reach for the dumbbell immediately below the one that I'm working on when the weights are actually put back correctly. So here I've gone from about 20 pounds to 70 pounds. And what I do is I just lift and drag the dumbbell up and across my body, really trying to work on adduction from the bottom up. And you can see here that my entire chest is activated. Yes, it feels like it's going to explode at this point, but that is the premise behind supersets, is to take it to failure and then beyond failure using these 2 exercises. Now, the beauty of supersets is that we don't always have to just select them based on the muscles that we're working, but more so on a purpose. And here you can take 2 shoulder exercises with the purpose being to use the first one to pre-exhaust you for the second one. So the first part of this one is the shoulder L raise. And I like the L raise because we're getting both the benefits of a front raise and a side raise for both the front and the middle delt. But what's great is this same weight, which would normally not be challenging at all for you on a dumbbell press, by the time you've reached failure on this first portion of the superset in the L raise, becomes challenging for that second half. So you've effectively pre-exhausted that muscle that allows you now to lift these dumbbells straight up overhead as soon as you've done your last rep and continue to rep out now using the second half, which is just a dumbbell press overhead. Again, this gives you a chance to pre-exhaust a muscle group with an exercise that makes the second exercise, which normally wouldn't be so tough, a lot harder, and therefore gives you a stimulus that you're not used to. Continuing on, using again here a purpose behind the superset, we can take advantage of mechanical differences in exercises that allow us to take a muscle to failure and then train it beyond using a mechanical superset. So you take the first exercise, in this case a pancake push-up, which places the tricep at a greater mechanical disadvantage, therefore it's a harder exercise that you take all the way till failure. But instead of stopping there, you can just adapt and change the position of your body to allow for a little bit more help for those triceps at that critical time when they're most fatigued to get even more reps and more work done. Here we're shifting over to the dive bomber push-up, which should be slightly easier, allowing you to continue that set for another half until failure. Now, technically, the supersets consist of 2 exercises, as I said, but you can turn it into a little bit more of a giant set, which would still be a superset, where you would rest no more again and go right into a third variation here, which is the diamond cutter push-up, which should be, again, slightly easier. You take it down through these 3 exercises, it makes it for a more challenging exercise combo for you. However, if you want to stick to the true definition of a superset with 2 components of it, the more advanced would stick to the pancake and to the dive bomber, whereas the less advanced would start with the dive bomber and go into the diamond cutters. Rolling on now, we have something called a categorical drop set, meaning the type or the category of the exercise and what it means to the overall effect of the superset. And we can go with a classic closed chain, open chain superset. So what that means is a closed chain exercise is whenever the moving limbs are in contact with the ground. So if I was doing a squat and my feet were in contact with the ground, that would be a closed chain exercise versus a leg extension where my legs are free to move in space, not in contact with the ground. Well, we could apply the same here with our upper body, and this is one of my favorite ways to train this combo because I feel like it's the safest way to train this combo. Here we use an iron cross dumbbell push-up. As you can see, I've got the dumbbells in contact with the ground. My hands via the dumbbells are in contact with the ground, which therefore makes it a closed chain exercise. And I can get a little bit of that effect that we're actually going to cement here with the follow-up, and that is an open chain floor fly. Now you guys know that this is the only version of this exercise that I like. I feel like it's the one that provides the best resistance to accomplish the exercise without sacrificing the health of our shoulder. So we have the floor as our safety net. We have the bottom safety position here of our elbows up against the floor. But we are doing an open chain exercise because our arms are now not in contact with the floor anymore, but floating in free space. The fact is, these open chain, closed chain combos provide a hell of a challenge, and this one in particular happens to be my favorite. This next superset is one that showcases, again, how you don't really have to train even the same muscle group, even remotely, to have an effective superset. It could be what the purpose of the superset is that makes it so valuable. And here we're talking about a squat and a scap pull. And you might be thinking, what is the relationship here? Well, here we're talking about a loaded and a deloaded positioning here for your body. So when we get under the squat bar, we know that we have a bit of load directed down on our spine. We have spinal compression. So we do a set of squats, realizing that's still one of the best damn exercises that we can possibly do for our body. But one of the great variables that we have in our arsenal is in between sets, instead of just standing around, especially when it comes to squats, we usually have a pull-up bar right behind us. So if you turn around, grab onto that pull-up bar and hang, or in this case, do something, which is a small scapular pull, the scap pull acts as sort of a contract-relax technique to reinforce the decompression that happens when we actually just let go. And if you just let your legs hang here, you can feel the spine elongate. You can feel a little bit of that decompression, which helps us and makes us feel more ready to attack the next set of squats. So this load, deload, or compression, decompression combo is a great way to use supersets for a purpose that you may not have realized in the first place. And finally, we can actually use supersets to enhance the effects of a secondary exercise by preceding it with an exercise that excites the nervous system. So we call this post-activation potentiation. It's a type of training that allows us to use an explosive exercise, not done to fatigue, but just done to excite that nervous system to then be applied to that secondary, more powerful exercise, especially when you need that power the most. Here we have a depth jump into a deadlift. So now the depth jump is when we just stand on a bench nearby, close to the bar that we're going to deadlift, and we just simply utilize 2 key factors here of this exercise. One, you're looking for that neurological excitation here of the legs. Realizing that we want to go down into that stretch reflex and then explode out of it and try to be as high and explosive as we can in our jump. The second thing, as you'll see me working on here, is trying to allow the legs to load up by hinging at the hips. Drop into my squat by reinforcing the mechanics I'm going to want to use in the deadlift itself. And when I do that, and I come back and now I approach the bar, you can see that I am much more explosive. Obviously, I'm not using a heavy weight here for demonstration purposes, but I would be. And in this case, I would have that excited nervous system that allows me to realize more power when I lift that bar off the ground, which is exactly what we're looking for here, especially in these bigger exercises. So there you have it, guys, my 8 favorite supersets, all chosen for a different reason. The fact is that when done at the right time for the right purpose, supersets can be incredibly effective for helping you to take your training to the next level. If you're looking to take your training to the next level and you want me to help you do that, head to the link below this video and allow me to help you choose the program of mine that is best suited to your goals, and I'll get you there. All right, the fact of the matter is we're always going to put the science back in strength, and I'm going to tell it to you the way it is and give you the no BS approach to making sure that you get there using the right principles at the right time. In the meantime, if you found this video helpful, leave your comments and thumbs up below. Let me know what you want me to cover, what other videos I can make for you that will be helpful, and I'll do my best to do that for you in the days and weeks ahead. All right, guys, see you soon.